Last weekend, the American people bore witness to the instinctive courage of President Trump. We all know the contrast to Joe Biden could not have been greater. Tonight, I want to talk to you about why President Trump's strength and grace, which now even his opponents struggle to deny, have consequences beyond American borders. From 2001 to 2008, I served as America's spokesman at the United Nations. Back then, Republicans believed America's duty was to spread democracy by military force. We were misled about weapons of mass destruction. We intervened in other countries' affairs and signed treaties that only benefited other nations. We spent too many years ignoring America's priorities. That's what happened when Washington stopped being the capital of the United States and started being the capital of the world. There was only one man with the strength to call out the lies and failures of both Democrats and Republicans: Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't care if you're gay or straight, black, brown, or white, or what gender you are. He knows that we are all Americans and that it's time to put America first. After 16 years of wars and chaos, the world looked different when President Trump was in the White House. Russia invaded Ukraine under both Obama and Biden, but Putin did not dare escalate under President Trump. Under Trump, China was challenged. Under Trump, the Balkans were more peaceful. Under Trump, the Middle East signed historic peace deals. Under Trump, Iran was broke. Under President Trump, we put American interests first. There were no new wars. Old wars ended, and America had the greatest economy in the world. But after 4 years of Joe Biden, wars are back, the Taliban is back, and members of ISIS have slipped through America's broken southern border. Russia is sailing warships off the coast of Florida. China is bullying its neighbors. Iran is waging a war in Israel and Gaza with help from Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's radical supporters have overtaken our universities, burning American flags, cheering for terrorists, and calling for violent revolution. The reason the world is on fire is because President Biden is weak in more ways than one. But Donald Trump's opponents, here and abroad, now see clearly his incredible courage and resilience. They stand in fear and awe at the thought of his return. By voting for President Trump, you are casting a vote for the strength and grace that will bring peace and prosperity back to you, your family, America, and the world. Don't let anyone ever tell you differently.
House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes. Mr. Chairman, I want to start with these leaks that President Trump has been so angry about, coming from all kinds of different places. Help people understand the difference between a leak that is just kind of something an administration doesn't want to see and a leak that is illegal or would be the subject of investigation, as you've asked the FBI to investigate.
Well, there's three very specific leaks that I have a big problem with. One is the transcript with the discussion that Donald Trump had with the Mexican president. Two is the conversation that he had with the Australian Prime Minister. And then, of course, three is the leaking of Mike Flynn's name to the press shortly after the first of the year. These are all against the law. And you can't operate a government like this if you can't even have the President of the United States or his National Security Advisor able to have conversations in private with foreign leaders.
Explain on Mike Flynn. People have heard his name so much in this conversation or conversations he had with the Russian ambassador. Give us a little more detail on why that bothers you.
Well, if this was picked up as incidental collection because perhaps they had a warrant on someone else, typically an American citizen wouldn't be unmasked. Somebody decided to unmask that name, somebody within the either Department of Justice or others within the administration. If that happened, why did that happen? What would be the purpose of unmasking an American citizen's name? In this case, at the time, he was a private citizen. So if his name was unmasked, somebody made that decision, and we need to know who made that decision. Did they really use a 1799 law called the Logan Act as the reason for unmasking his name? If that's the case, we have bigger problems in this country than what we really even realize.
Why do you think these leaks, the one you just described and others, where do you think they're coming from and why?
Well, I mean, this is why I think that the FBI and others need to investigate this, because the number of people that would actually have known that Mike Flynn, General Flynn, who was the National Security Advisor designee, was having conversations with the Russians had to be very, very small number. And it had to be at the highest levels of the Obama administration.
And Mr. Chairman, what do you think does that say anything about the relationship between the intelligence communities, where this leak may have and other leaks may have come from, and President Trump?
Well, let's get straight what we're talking about with the intelligence agencies, because I think there's a lot of innuendo out there that the intelligence agencies have a problem with Donald Trump. The rank and file people that are out doing jobs across the world, very difficult places, they don't pay attention to what's going on in Washington. What we have is we do have people in the last administration, people who have burrowed in, perhaps all throughout the government, who clearly are leaking to the press. And it is against the law. Major laws have been broken. If you believe the Washington Post story that said there were 9 people who said this, well, these are 9 people who broke the law.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to get back to what you said about those who had burrowed in the intelligence agencies, maybe holdovers from or supporters of President Obama's. Is that something you're going to look into with your committee in terms of those people who were burrowed in?
No, we won't. But one of the things on this Russia issue, John, that is important is that the House Intelligence Committee has long been conducting ongoing investigations into Russia. And in fact, a year ago, I publicly stated that the biggest intelligence failure since 9/11 was our failure to understand Putin's plans and intentions. At the time, the administration balked at that, the IC ignored it, and it wasn't until after they lost an election that they started to pay attention to Russia. So I'm happy that they're paying attention to Russia now. I'm happy the American people are paying attention to Russia. There are Russia hawks now. I think there's more Russia hawks in Congress than there are congressmen and senators. And so we're happy to expand this investigation. I welcome it. However, we are not going to go on witch hunts against the American people, against American citizens. And basically putting names of people in newspaper outlets, that's not real credible evidence that an American citizen has done something wrong. But if there are American citizens who are from any political party that are communicating with Russian agents, I want to know about it. Bring it to the committee because we'd like to investigate.